Let's get your VS Code set up and show you some of the basic settings. So we're going to click here to get it open. And the first thing you might see is this getting started page. And it looks like it has some convenient things for us, like maybe opening a new file or a new folder, but I really don't want to see this opening welcome message every single time, this getting started thing. So what I'm going to do is actually uncheck this box because we're going to show you a different way. So let me close this, and real quick, I'm just going to close this real quick and show you that now when I open it up, it looks more like this. If I double click out here in this gray area, it will just start a new tab. I don't have to go up here to File, New, and Open or anything like that. I can just double click out in the main area and it'll start a new tab. Or if I already have a tab open, this little strip right here, I can click in here and I can just start new tabs like that. So that's the easiest way to just like start a new file in VS Code. Now, if I close these, notice it asks, which language do I want to use for this? So we're going to come back to that in a second, but I want to go and show you the settings real quick for VS Code. So I could go up here and go to, the preferences and the settings, but notice that there's this shortcut here for Command, comma. Now it turns out that on Mac software, pretty much anything like on your browser or anything, if you do Command, comma, that will open up the respective settings for that program. So I guess I don't know how that would work on Windows or anything else, but if I do Command, comma here, it opens up the settings, which happens to occupy a tab over here. So this is like the GUI for the settings. So the graphical user interface for all the settings. We can search for things up here and it will like filter down like what settings we can make changes to stuff. So for example, I might want to say that my tab size is going to be 2, which is really common instead of doing 4. Now I could do it with the graphical user interface version of the settings, but this right here will actually open up like the real settings file. Notice it says open settings in JSON format. So if I do that, it'll keep this one over here, but I'm going to close that one now. Now this is the real settings file. Now when I go to edit my VS Code settings, I usually just try to go straight here because I don't really use the graphical interface that much because I kind of understand how this works. And you're going to need to eventually understand this too. This is kind of like code, right? And you're going to become a coder. You're becoming a CSS, a front-end developer, and maybe you're going to be doing back-end development too. And so you're going to need to understand how this kind of stuff works. This is JSON format. It has an opening and closing curly brace. Notice it's got these properties that are enclosed with double quotes, and then it's got a colon here, and then the values, depending on if the values are words, also known as strings, then they'll be enclosed in double quotes. But sometimes if the values are like number values, then they'll just be the number, or if they're like a true or false, then it'll just be like a true or false. But anything that is like a word in programming, which we refer to as a string, then those will be enclosed in double quotes as well. Also notice the commas in between everything, and that's really important. Okay, so if I have like some property here, and if I do some value over here, some value over here, I can't leave that comma out because it doesn't know like where this ends and this next thing begins. So I have to put that comma back in there. Notice if I do leave it out though, I get this little like red squiggly line that kind of tells me that it's expecting a comma there. So yeah, we should definitely kind of put that in. I'm going to delete this though, and let's take a look at what we have here. Editor tab size 2. That's because of that setting that I did. And check this one out. Workbench startup editor none. That's because of the setting that I unchecked that checkbox. So what else could we do? Let me save this. I'm going to open up a new tab, and I'm just going to start typing some text. So here is some text, and I might decide that I need this to be a little bit bigger for me to be able to see it. So one of the keyboard shortcuts I'm going to use is Command plus, and on Windows, I think it's like Control. Anytime I say Command, it's going to be Control for you. So if I do Command plus, Command minus, okay, that will basically increase the zoom size for all of VS Code. Like everything gets a little bit bigger or smaller. But notice if I make this a little bit bigger, I go over here to my settings and check it out. I mean, that's something that is saved so that next time we go to open VS Code, it will be in this mode for us. But I don't have to go in here to my settings and adjust that number every single time I want to change the size of the zoom level. I would just be writing some code and maybe I want to make it a little bit bigger, maybe I want to make it a little bit smaller, but that's adjusting our settings as we go. Okay, and like I said, you can also do that in like Chrome or Firefox too. If you ever want to zoom in or zoom out on a website, you can do that same kind of thing. So yeah, definitely go and take time to learn the JSON format for your settings because it's going to be really important for you to understand how this kind of stuff works. Now let's explore maybe some of the extensions that you can do in VS Code. So if you go over here, this is your extensions section, and right now they're showing me a whole bunch of popular extensions and some recommended ones. I'm going to minimize those, and so I just want to pay attention to the installed ones now, and I don't have any. So let's change the theme of VS Code. This is like a dark theme. Maybe I want a light theme, and there's all kinds of themes that you can pick from in here. So I'm going to choose, I happen to like the Firefox theme. They have a theme in here. So Firefox theme, this one right here. So I'm going to install that one. Okay, so there we go. And it says which one do we want to select, because it actually comes with 2 of them. So we already installed both of them, but I want to select the light colored theme. Okay, so now we're using the light theme. Let me notice how every extension almost like opens up like almost like a little like kind of like advertising page for itself over here, and I can either click on this install or that one, or I guess maybe adjust some of the settings of it or something. And so over here we can just close that. Now I'm basically looking at my code in a light colored theme. By the way, I can always do Command KT, and that will show me all the different themes that I have, and then I can use the up and down arrows to kind of like cycle through them. And notice as I do that, it will actually just kind of show me like a preview of the one I want, and then I can always just hit enter if I want that particular theme. Another one that I think you should take a look at is Cobalt 2. This is a pretty cool theme, and this is from Wes Boss, who's a really well-known developer, and he made this theme. So we're going to install that one. This is a pretty cool one. I kind of like the bluish gray colors here. So yep, we got that one now. And as we install these themes, I could always go to Command KT, and then I can see all the different themes that I've been installing. It kind of organizes them into like light themes and dark themes as well. Okay, let's show you one more that I like to have installed. This one is my favorite dark theme. So it's one Monokai. Let's see if that is enough for it to come up. Yeah, right here, one Monokai. So we install that one. Yeah, so this is the one that I tend to use the most. This is the one that I'm probably going to use the most on my videos when I'm doing the various lessons and courses here for cssbootcamp.com. Okay, so yep, we choose that one, and this is our dark theme now. Looks like, we can always like resize this right here. And if I smash it all the way down, it kind of goes away, but we could always go back over here to extensions. We're also going to be playing with this section up here. Those are probably the 2 most popular areas you're going to be in is the extensions and the file explorer, but we're not really ready for that, so I'm gonna take that away. Okay, so here we are. We got some stuff. Let's type some code. I'm gonna do some HTML, but right now when I just double click to like make a new tab, I'm in plain text. Okay, so I mean, I could start typing code. I could like do like div, and we could do stuff like this, and we could say like this is our HTML example, and this, I mean, I could save this as HTML, but I don't get any syntax highlighting until VS Code knows that this is an HTML document. So let's see. I'm gonna do a save on this. Now you're gonna need to kind of get familiar with shortcuts, just because that's the best way, I think, to do things as a web developer, because you're going to be doing lots of keyboard things, and you could go up here and learn what the shortcuts are. Like for save as, it's Command Shift S as opposed to just Command S for save. So try to like explore new shortcuts every once in a while, and kind of get better at things as far as shortcuts go. So I'm going to do Command Shift F to save this. And it says like, where do you want to save this? I'm going to put it on my desktop, and we're going to save this as a file called index.html. Okay, so right on my desktop there. Notice as soon as I do that though, now I got syntax highlighting. Okay, so, and it also knows that this is an HTML file. Let me close this and close this. Do I want to save that? Don't save that. And I guess we'll close that as well. I'm actually going to close VS Code, and here's my index.html file. And so I'm going to just drag this over onto VS Code, and it opens right back up. Okay, so this is that's one way you can load a file into VS Code. Another thing you can do is if I make a new folder out here, we'll call this our website folder, and maybe we've got a website that we got from somewhere else, or maybe we just started a brand new website, and so you could drag the entire folder onto VS Code, which is how I often open up projects when I want to work on them. It says, do you want to trust this thing? I guess this is like a new thing. Trust the authors of all files in the parent directory. Yes, let's just do that. Okay, so yeah, we'll just do that. Okay, so now notice that I've got this little Explorer thing over here. This is that Explorer tab. So over here, we're in the website folder. There's my index file. So again, notice that when we have something that is an is an HTML extension file, it will show you the syntax highlighting for that. But if I just like start a new tab, it's like, hey, we don't know what language mode you want to be in. I mean, I guess we could, select that and then, choose from here, but you don't have to do that. You can just start typing and you could just save it as that type of file extension, and it will just become that thing. Another thing you could do is when you see this is you could go over here and you could say, you know what, I'm just going to click on here and I'm going to select from this list by doing that. You don't have to like have this message pop up. In fact, I don't even like this message, so don't show this again. So I'm going to do that. So now the next time I open up a new tab, it doesn't show that. And if I want to change the syntax highlighting, I'll just save it, or I'll just go down here and pick something. Let's go and explore my settings again. So Command, comma, there's the GUI settings. And if I go over here, oops, what did I do? Click on the wrong thing. Okay, so if I go over here, check it out. Workbench editor, untitled hint. So that's that thing that we just took away. So a lot of the things that you do, just expect that that you're going to be able to change them in settings, and they're going to be visible to you over here if you ever want to go back and undo something. Also notice this is a special JSON file because it's the settings file for VS Code. That if we go over here to this little pencil thing, you can see the various options that you're allowed to do for that particular property. So you're not just like guessing, like maybe you would have guessed like this would be like a true or false kind of thing, but it's not. It's one of those three possibilities. Okay. All right. So let's go back over here. I want to make sure that when I'm typing in code that I don't have like a misspelling, and so if I ever have a misspelling, like I might not notice that until someone tells me about it. So check it out. There's actually a pretty cool extension for that as well. We can go over here, and this one is going to be the code spell checker. I'm sure there's a lot of these things, but this is the one that I use that works really well. Yeah, the one with the green circle logo. Okay, so we're going to install this. Oh, did I just install it already? I think I did. So yeah, if you ever have something installed, I guess you could go and disable it after it's installed, but we just installed it. So now it's right here. Like it tells me that this thing is a misspelled word. So what I'm going to do is, I could, like other programs, I could try to right click on this, but the right click in this particular tool, VS Code, it doesn't like show you like the suggestions like it might in other programs. It will allow me to add that word to I would do it to my user dictionary instead of my workspace dictionary. But I can say that I disagree that is a word that I spelled correctly, and I could add it to my dictionary. But if you want to see the suggestions for it, put your cursor on it and do command dot, like the period. So if I do that, it'll give me what they think that they would suggest it to be. So I'm going to choose that right there. Now let's put in this is our HTML file, and I'm going to put in my last name. Okay, so Brad Westfall. Now my last name is something that they're not going to find in their dictionary, but I don't really want my last name on my websites to always be telling me that they're misspelled. So I'm going to right click on this, and I'm going to say, let's add this to my user dictionary. Okay, and then it shows me like, are you sure you want to add this thing? Okay, so I'm going to hit enter. Okay, so again, go over to command comma, our settings, and go over here. Check it out. So not only is this the overall settings for VS Code, but it's also the settings for the particular extensions if they happen to have them. And then in theory, I could just like add things to this list. By the way, this is what's known as an array of strings. And so the square bracket there and the closing square bracket there, if I wanted to put another thing in here, I would put a comma, and then I would do the other word right there that I want to be a part of my dictionary. Okay, so I'm not gonna probably play with that by hand right now. I'm just gonna let the tool add those for me as we go. Okay, so yeah, we're making some progress here. We know about how to make folders and files, so that's why we don't need those little shortcuts that they had in the very beginning. I'm gonna close this. Don't save. Just know that we can always go over here to this, and we can see all of our files and folders here. I can click here if I want to make a new file. So maybe I have like a CSS file like styles.css, and of course this is a CSS file now, so I can do like a selector, like I want to make all the divs so that they have a color of red. And check it out, it'll kind of put like a little thing right there for me, and I can, if I hover over that, let me start over. If I hover over right there, yeah, it'll show me like this little like color picker thing, so I can actually make adjustments in here. You'll learn all about how to do CSS colors later on in our other courses, but we could do like a hex color, or we can see. Do they let us pick the other type? I thought they did. Oh yeah, so HSL or RGB. Okay, so we can do those kinds of things. And if I hit enter, or nope, yeah, okay, if I hit enter, that goes away. And now I've just set that color, and this stuff is only happening because it's a CSS file. If I had just started like a new tab and just try to do like the thing that I did before, div, and let's make a background color, or let's just do a color is red, notice that kind of stuff just doesn't happen. So yeah, I mean, you could go down here and just kind of play with this and do, this is a CSS file. Okay, that would work as well. Okay, so don't save that. But just notice out here, if I click here and then get that blue box that kind of surrounds this whole thing, I can just make a new file, or hit the escape key, that goes away. I can make a new folder. So I can say this is like a subfolder. You'll learn not to make things with spaces when it comes to web design. It's usually a bad idea. But if I click in here, or if I have the little blue box around this thing, I can right click and I can say new file, or I can just go like that, and that will make a new file as well. We want to also learn the command palette. If you ever hear about the command palette in VS Code, I guess I didn't really mean to make that change. Let's just don't save that. If you ever want to use the command palette in VS Code, what you want to do, and I guess the keyboard shortcut would be a little bit different for Windows users, but if you go up here to view command palette, that's your keyboard shortcut. And so for Mac users, it's going to be Command Shift P. And if I do that, this is going to give me like a little way to do every single feature of VS Code just by starting to type things out. So I can make if I want to make a new file, I could do that. I don't know why I would want to do it this way, but like I said, you could do everything in here. So if I wanted to change the language mode, notice I just have to type lang. And even though the thing is called change language mode, I could just search for any like subset of these things and get to it. So I hit that one, and no text editor active at this time. Oh, it's because I don't have a tab. So let's do this, make a new tab. Okay, then I do the command palette, Command Shift P, change the language mode. Oh, look at that. So if I do Command Shift P again, it shows me my recently used ones, right? Because I might have some that are like really popular that I use. So sometimes when you're installing these extensions, they might say, open the command palette and do this thing to configure something. And so this is what that's all about. Okay, that's the command palette. So there you go. That's the basics of VS Code, and I think you'll be successful with some of our other videos now and some of our other requests when we say, hey, start off by making an HTML file or a CSS file, just to get you excited about some of the videos that we have coming up. Check out this last little thing. I'm going to go down here and I'm going to make this HTML, and then watch this. I do an exclamation point and I hit tab. Look what that made me. All right, now you should be excited. Okay, those are called snippets, and this is called Emmet. Okay, this particular, it's like an extension, but it's like built into VS Code already. In other code editors like Sublime Text or whatever, Emmet was something you had to install separately. But in VS Code, they decided that Emmet was so cool, you just have to use it, and so it's gonna be in there. If I go over here and if I say this is gonna be a CSS file, I can say make a selector for BGC, background color, and if I hit tab, check it out, it just kind of like writes it out for me. So yeah, really cool stuff. All right, we'll see you in the next few videos.